Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Good morning, Mechwarriors and Fellow Gamers. Welcome back to Commander Hollow's Mech Bay. I'm Commander Hollow. Today we're going to be finishing up the basing on the Black Lanner, which we've been working on. Let's do a little zoom. There we go. We're working on this Scorched Earth theme for the basing. And let's see, we got... I had to give it some time to dry out because, you know, we want to get some nice crisp lines throughout the unit, throughout the basing, to imply this cracking of the earth. So, yeah, let's go ahead and move on with the next steps here. So for the rest of this, or for the next step, I think we're going to be using this Craft Smart black matte finish acrylic paint. Let me give this a good shake. Now we're going to use not too much, just a little bit there. Now I have to resist the urge to dilute this down too far because, you know, a lot of times when I'm working with this, it's to do you know, pin washing, something like that. So we do want this to be a little bit thinner. Obviously, it's pretty thick coming out the bottle, somewhat thick coming out the bottle. So we want to thin it down a little bit. But we don't want it so wet that, you know, it'll start running. And again, we want the paint to go where we put it and not anywhere else. So let's see, I think we got a good consistency on that. Now what we're going to do for the next step, we're going to paint, you know, again, we want to create this sense of layers of where the earth, you know, where they've previously been, you know, that is now compromised, burnt up. So we're going to throw some black on this to give the impression of the earth having been charred. You know, and just go very slowly underneath that foot. All right. Now we're just doing a little bit here because we're going to do the same thing we did with the brown. We're going to etch in kind of some lines to show that, you know, there's been cracking here. I don't know why I'm so worried about having a clean line. This is... Alright. We're going to go ahead and just, since this brush is already out, we're going to go ahead and take care of the two henchmen here, the howlers, or the baboons. There we go. And again, we're doing the batch painting just to, you know, make more effective use of the paints that we have out. And, you know, I just want to finish these guys off. Plus, you know, you don't want your Green Lanner to be lonely, do you? Gotta have some backup. Let's, there we go. And that's a really good role for the Howler, acting as backup for other units, because it is a zippy little guy. And with those LRMs, he can put a respectable amount of missile fire downrange for such a light mech. I mean, 5 LRMs. Oh, it seems fitting to me. It seems like that's a good setup for a smaller mech to act as. I mean, I guess henchmen. You know, henchman maxing. Okay, let's get off that. So next up, we're going to work with the fine tip brush that we've cut down, and we're going to add some more of these cracks, just kind of continuing in the theme of what we've had going here. Now with this, it's better to get a good clean line right off the start. Yeah. I also find kind of tough to get a good angle on it, you know? Yeah. So I gotta say, this is a brand new base scheme. I've never done this before. So there's a bit of experimentation here. Really curious to see how it's going to come out. I'm going to create this kind of scorched pattern. And we're going to put a little bit of red on there to create a sense of heat. There's still some embers burning. Now, I don't think we want to go all the way to the end line. We really want these black lines to peter out before they get to the edge of the brown. Again, we want this to look, like this got blasted and just scorched a bit. Yeah, I think that'll play. Okay. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Now, let's move on. Let's paint the other guys and give the Green Lanner a chance to dry. So let's try something a little different. And this is also, a big reason why I got out the baboons to henchman max this squad. The more you paint, the better you'll get at it. Painting is. There was a really interesting discussion on Discord this week. People were talking about painting and whether it is a skill or a talent. And I won't recap too much what other people were saying. I don't think it'd be fair. I might misrepresent their argument, but they were going back and forth about which term is more appropriate to describe painting. 'Cause I think it is an art form. There's definitely you're creating something. In my opinion, though, I don't think the terms are mutually exclusive. And I think that there was a tendency in the discussion. People seem to be falling for the false dichotomy error, logical fallacy, I should say. And that's the belief that, things can either be A or B, that they can't, that they either have to be put into one of two categories for classification purposes. And I don't think that's correct with painting. I think with painting, you're dealing with, I think painting is a skill. It's something that you can learn, you can develop it over time. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And so it's a skill. It's something that can be learned. At the same time, some people may have a talent for painting, meaning that they're just, for whatever reason, they are naturally predisposed to picking up the skill, to developing their talent, or excuse me, to developing their skill, because they do have a talent for it. And that's kind of how I view it. And I think it's a healthier way to view it, because if you see it as a skill, and most of the things people, humans do in this world are skill based. Like you can learn to do just about anything as long as you've got the willpower and the discipline to make yourself do it, to make yourself practice it, and to learn. And with that attitude, I mean, the world is your oyster. You see something you're interested in, all right, go learn about it. Libraries are free for everyone. You can beyond that, we got the internet. I mean, information has never been more accessible to as many people as it is. In the history of the world, we live in an amazing time. So, I mean, if you're watching this, there's a fair chance you're watching this on some sort of streaming platform, over the internet, and you're, I hope, maybe learning some things with me. I hope, or maybe you just like painting, and that's good too. But when I watch videos of other, hobby painters, or I guess that's what this would be, hobby painting, I always learn something new. You just see how other people approach, different concepts to create the illusion. And I like that. So if you got a fun trick, it's nice to share it. All right. I think it's starting to look like he's crawling. They're walking out of the edge of a big crater. If we line them up a little bit and create that illusion where they have gone. They leave behind them trail destruction. All right. So we're going to let that black dry just a little bit. And we're going to do some vegetation on these boys. Just a little bit of desert vegetation to, create the illusion of, just a, I shouldn't say illusion, create a sense of contrast between, the area that is life, that has life, that is verdant, compared to, well, the burning waste they're leaving behind. And I think for this, what do we got here? That might work. I think what we're going to do is a little bit of stippling. Now again, I'm doing this now, basically alternating front part or rear part, front part, rear part, front part. We're going to do that because by alternating, we give the paint more time to dry in between, the things we're adding on. And it's a more efficient use of time, and I'm all about that. So we've got let's talk about this. We have olive green matte acrylic. And we're going to just plop a little bit of that in there. We're not going to use too much. And you can see, let's see here. I think we're going to use, because this is going to be desert. And we don't, with that sandy beige ground, let's zoom in again. With that sandy beige ground, I don't think it's coming across as Kentucky bluegrass. This is going to be coffee load up. All right. I think this comes across more as, desert. If you've ever been out, outside Vegas and Nevada, or even parts of Southern California, there's a lot of sandy soil, and you'll see that there is vegetation, but it's a little sparse. So we're going to use this. This is a really tiny brush. It's good for stippling, but there's no doesn't have a very fine point. So it tends to. Oh wow, that did nothing. And I don't want to have too much on this, but I'm worried that when I brush it off, there we go. Okay, let's load it up again. And these tiny brushes, they really don't hold too much in them. And we're going to go back into these cracks a little bit and add some vegetation. Because again, we want to, create a sense of the earth that existed, the earth, the ground that existed prior to the Jade Falcons, rolling through. So we're going to use this kind of darker green, this olive green, as little shrubberies, little bushes. We're going to have those guys maybe, not too much. And I think we're going to, a little bit over here. Boop, 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 boop. Right on the edge. And we might as well get down into the sides here because that's what we're doing. One of the things I like about matte effect paints like these is they don't have, because they don't have a shine to them, they blur edges if you want to. You can see on on the baboon when they're in high light, you know, because they don't bounce back a lot of it like the gloss does, it can be harder to discern shapes. You know, which is why, you know, matte paint is typically what you find on military vehicles. All right. Now we're going to add a lighter green on top of that just to give it some highlight and a little bit more life. These bases are going to have a nice variety of color to them. And just stippling it on there. You know, not too thick, because again, these are shrubs in the desert. They do not grow large. I guess some of them do, you know. Saguaro can get pretty big. The big cacti that you'll see out in Arizona, mostly. I'm not even sure they exist many other places. But yeah, you go to Arizona, you will see a lot nice big saguaro, like right out of the old Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons. In fact, I even saw Roadrunner when I was in Arizona. I was like 14 or something. I was pretty young, and it was a Roadrunner. I was like a mother and, you know, some Roadrunner chicks running around. I was so disappointed with how tiny they were. I was like, I remember thinking, that's a rotor, that's it? Lazy Wolf couldn't catch that little thing? It's barely even fast. But, you know, I guess that's what I get for thinking cartoons had any semblance or bearing on reality. But I don't know, the desert can be a pretty beautiful place. Okay. I'll do a little bit more back into there. I think, yeah, these guys had like a big blotch. I think that's, yeah, there we go. Tell you, that olive green, man, that really blends in with that, with the beige base. It really, it kind of brings it down to the same tone as the armor. I was not expecting that. I'm just going to let this brush soak because, man, it needs it now. All right, let's move on to the next portion of the rear armor. And we're going to start bringing up a sense of embers. So we're just going to use a little bit. We're going to use the Cherry Cobbler matte acrylic, Craft Smart, to do that. And we're just going to create just a little boop, boop, boop. Just a little little lines to show where the heat remains. And yeah, let's go. Let's just get into it. All right, and we're not diluting this at all. Let's zoom in again. Okay. And where to start? Now we want this, you know, again, these cracks. I think what we're going to do I think the black might still be a little damp because I'm seeing a bit of capillary action here. You know, too thick. Too thick. I'm not happy with how thick those lines are, so we're going to take that off. And all I'm doing is just wetting kind of a thicker brush and just taking that red off here a little bit. All right. Now, guess we're going to let the green lantern dry out a little bit more, and we'll go ahead and practice on the baboon or howler or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to sharpen that up. One of the challenges here is, man, painting color on black is very, well, I'm sure you know at this point, it can be challenging. Bring that hand back in here. And you can see the red really just disappears into the black. And that's okay, because this is just going to work as kind of a base and reflect some of the glow that we are going to be creating. And again, we're just trying to get that sense of a cracked and glowing earth. Where they just almost like a charcoal briquette. If you like grilling. You probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, when the charcoal's just ready to go. You know, you still see some black on it. But you can see that fire inside just peeking out saying, hey, throw some steak on, I'm gonna cook the hell out of it. So that's what we're trying for here. It's just kind of a subtle red look. Yeah, it goes on bright enough, but once it starts drying, man, oh man. It does start to disappear a bit. Now I find one of the challenges working this scheme is trying to make the cracks look even but not a sort of repetitious pattern. You know, trying to give it a sense of you know, that naturally beautiful randomness that we can see in nature. Alright, we got that backside done. Did not get as aggressive with the black on this unit. That's a good sized blob of red. That's okay. We want it kind of reaching up into there. Reaching up into the black cracks to show, hey, this is, you know, this is the result of some intense heat. Well, it's subtle, but it's there. All right. Let's try again, Black Lanner. Green Lanner. All right, let's rinse this brush off. Alrighty. A little bit of paper towel in that brush. Make sure we get that out. You know, I almost think this would be a good use of a nice, like a knife-edged brush. A very flat. Definitely not a fan brush. But something that can really express a nice flat edge. Alright, we load her up again. That's the trick. You don't want to put too much on. We just want to make a nice line. Alrighty. Too high up. Here we go. And slowly. Draw that down a little bit. We don't want it to look like lava. We want it to look maybe a little bit lava-like. All right. Okay. All right. I think we can move on. Let's go back to the vegetation. Now. We do have this grass green, and we use this as the basis, as the base coat. Grass green mat, we use this as the base coat for the units. But with that turquoise on top, I think that's going to give it a different look. And we're just going to put a little bit in here. All right, and again, we're not going to do any, we're not going to dilute it. Just going to take our thin brush here, this 20/0 size. And we're going to just dab a little bit of this, just a little bit, onto the olive. And you know, we're just trying to create a little sense of depth to it. And it's already looking a little more I think it's popping a little better. Yeah, that'll play. All right, let's go ahead and tackle some of the... And I'm not trying to cover up the olive. I'm really just trying to add kind of a splash of the green, the grass green, into the olive to give it, again, to create a sense of depth. Okay. Alrighty, let's get this last one here. Okay, and a little more. All right. And now part of me is tempted to make it look like some of the ones in the background of fire, but we might hold off on that for now. this point, the rear fire bases look like they're drying nicely. So we're going to add one last little element. And that is going to be the neon orange mats. So, you know, we've got some neon going with the weapons, with the cockpit. So those will glow if we have a black lid on them. Now we're going to use a little bit of neon orange to give these embers a glow. And we're going to use it very sparingly. Just a little bit, you know, to create that illusion of glow. Boop. Okay, so it's a little thick. Now, I've messed with this, these neons, putting them over top of black before, and boy, it'll take a couple of coats for it to show up, or you know, just glob it on to make it show up, and but then it doesn't really dry very evenly. It doesn't look that good. However, with the base of red that we've put down over top of the black, it really, I'm expecting that the first coat here, just the first pass, will be able to get the effect we're looking for. Okay, I really should start with the other guys first, since they were, you know, let's do that. Since I started with them. And just a little bit in there. I'm a little concerned that the beige and brown is going to impact how the eye sees this orange. That it may not read it as fire, but we'll find out. Again, we're just having some fun with it, so... Oh, sounds like one of the kiddos might need help. Might have a family emergency here. A little bit of Scorched Earth there. Yeah, I think that's working. It's going very subtle with it. Definitely brightens it up a bit, so we want to use just a little bit to create this effect. There we go. And again, this is a brand new style of basing. I am happy to have the baboons to practice with. You don't want to cover up the red entirely. You want a very, nice line in the red. But the red is going to be, we want that poking out as well. Really, you're looking for a combination of the red and the orange. It's winter time right now. It's January. And even though it doesn't get that cold in Southern California, it can get a little chilly at night, so we've been having a lot of fires. It's been great. In our fireplace, I should say. And, it's nice. Always feels like the holidays, having a good fire. All right. All right, now let's, now for you, Green Lantern. Okay. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And autofocus on the camera is giving me a hard time, but we'll get through it. Okay, I think we're going to do just a little bit up here still. And a little bit here. Good. Good, good, good. All right. Well, I think we've got the basing done, which is great. Let's do a quick test. We're going to see how the black light looks. And, ooh, hey, there's the black light. So we've got a nice glow coming from the cockpits. You can see we've got a nice glow here underneath coming from behind. But I think we've got a pretty good result there. I think that definitely has a fun kind of lava-like read to it. You know, I was tempted to do the whole base like that. Yeah, maybe we'll do that in a future unit. Do one that's not just entirely in the lava. Let's pop that light back on. I think we've got some nice looking units. Add 2 more and we'd have an entire star. Now I know we did not do the Falcon detail, I guess you'd call it. It's not a decal, it's detail. We might go back and do that. I don't know. I know I said earlier we won't do that, but maybe that top part here, I think we might be able to squeeze something onto it. I do not know about the these guys. I'm just not sure where we would put it, but I'm not ruling it out right now. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed painting this with me. Hope you learned something new. Maybe we'll push yourself to try something a little bit different. But it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to doing a couple more units like this. So, thanks again for joining me. And happy painting. We'll catch you next time.